my name is Mingo from Mingo's Library. Today I read to you Larry Gets Lost in Boston, and it is illustrated by John Skewis, written by Michael Mullen and John Skewis. This book is in the series. When I was little, I went to one of those places with my family, and we have a special guest too named Bach, and he is 7 years old. He is in first grade.
Hello, I am Bach, and I live in Boston, and I'm very excited to read this book called Larry Gets Lost in Boston.
Okay, now let's read it. Hope you enjoy it.
This is Larry, and this is Pete. They're bundled together in the back seat. They went into a tunnel, then out the other side. What adventure awaits at the end of this ride? Larry wondered. What will we see in this place? More important, he thought, how does the food taste? Out the window, Larry smelled salty sea air. The breeze carried hints of seafood somewhere. A bridge that seemed made of gigantic guitar strings was one of the city's more spectacular things. All done with the car, they decided to park it. With Larry on his leash, they headed to Quincy Market. Inside a big building with a copper round top, they found all kinds of restaurants and places to shop. When the family read menus for something to eat, Larry's dog tummy growled. Then he spotted a treat. Someone had dropped it, but a dog doesn't care. After eating what he found...
Quincy Market. The popular market was built in the 1820s on what was when the waterfront, but landfill development now puts that waterfront 6 blocks away.
He realized Pete wasn't there. He had to get looking, but where should he start? Larry made mistakes, but he was really quite smart. At the ground, he saw bricks in a line, end to end. Could this be a trail that would lead to his friend?
The Freedom Trail. This 2.5-mile path connects 16 places important to American history. Faneuil Hall. Built in 1742, this meeting hall was the location of many great American Revolution speeches. It is sometimes called the Cradle of Liberty. The Old State House. On July 18, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was read from the second-floor balcony to a crowd below. It was also the site of the Boston Massacre on March 5, 1770.
Excited to find Pete, Larry kept to his search. He passed a red brick building and an old-fashioned church. At the end of the line, Larry saw mostly green as he entered a wide-open park kind of scene. Meanwhile, Pete saw buildings from a long ago year, like a house once lived in by a man named Revere. What he really wanted to see was his dog's friendly face, so they had to keep looking in some other place.
Paul Revere House. Revere was a prosperous silversmith and a patriot in American Revolution, who helped organize an alarm system to modernize the British military.
They called Larry's name and listened for his bark.
Old North Church. The steeple of this church is where the 1 if by land, 2 if by sea signal was said to be sent to Paul Revere in the famous poem Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
While Larry explored that big grassy park, he asked ducklings for help, but they ignored his dog words, so he crossed a lagoon filled with boats shaped like birds.
Very good.
Make way for ducklings. 9 bronze duck statue paid tribute. The famous children's book by Robert McCloskey that takes place in Boston.
Larry went down a staircase, and under the street he saw all kinds of people, just not his friend Pete. Red lines, orange lines, what did they mean? Larry hopped on a train that was painted bright green.
Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority. The MBTA, also known as the T, includes subways, buses, trains, and ferry boats. The Green Line is the busiest light rail system in the U.S.
A baseball stadium seemed huge to lost little Larry. He faced a green monster, but it wasn't so scary. Then he ran by a river and heard musical notes, while people rode quickly in long, skinny boats.
Fenway Park. Home to the Boston Red Sox since 1912, it is the oldest operating ballpark in the U.S. The 37-foot-high left field wall is called the Green Monster. Hatch Memorial Shell. Originally built as a temporary concert venue in 1928, the permanent shell was built in 1940, and it is home to the annual 4th of July concert by the Boston Pops Orchestra.
On a bridge that looks like salt and pepper shakers, Larry barked for assistance, but there weren't any takers. From the bridge he saw buildings, some old and some new. The biggest one reflected the others in blue.
Longfellow Bridge. Originally called the Cambridge Bridge, it was renamed after the New England native poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The bridge spans over 2,135 feet across the Charles River.
At his next stop, a big dinosaur was standing guard, but getting past him wasn't all that hard. On another bridge not too far away, Pete wished Larry could see all his discoveries that day.
Museum of Science. Opened at its current location in 1951, this is one of the oldest science museums in the U.S. It has hundreds of interactive exhibits. Charlestown Bridge, the first official ferry crossing off the Charles River, was at this site in 1630. The current bridge was built in 1900.
Inside the museum, Larry saw lightning. It was bright and loud and a little frightening. Just when Larry's hopes were starting to fade, a college student Larry up and checked his dog collar. What luck, thought Larry as he licked the long collar.
Lightning. The Van de Graaff generator is the Museum of Science creates real lightning indoors.
They didn't see Larry on an old sailing ship. Pete wished his pal could share in the fun of this trip. While Pete was feeling sad, he heard a beeping sound. It was Dad's phone. Larry had been found.
USS Constitution, built for the U.S. Navy in 1794, this wooden ship earned the nickname Old Ironsides because instead of making holes, enemy cannonballs used just bounce off the ship's sides.
They arranged to meet at a famous place. Pete hardly could wait to see Larry's face. They drove up a hill to an end of the street, where Larry jumped and landed on Pete.
Bunker Hill Monument. This 221-foot monument was built to commemorate the Battle of Bunker Hill in the Revolutionary War. Visitors can climb the 294 steps inside and look out a window at the top. A railway was built in 1826 just to bring the granite from Quincy.
They slept as the cars drove slowly away. It had been a very adventurous day.